It'll be interesting to see whether he just wants to equal Nehru's record or actually be around the next time to beat Nehru's record, or at least attempt to beat Pandit Nehru's record. Let's take you through how the party-wise vote share and seat share would stack up. We looked at the alliance-wise numbers. Let's now look at the party-wise numbers. The Bharatiya Janata Party had 37% of the vote in the last election. That is expected to go up by a massive 3%. I'm saying massive because in a national context, for one party to be able to increase its vote share by 3%, that is a very significant achievement. The Congress had 20% of the vote share last time. See voters predicting at this moment that that could come down to 19, just a dip of 1. Others were at 43, they could be at 41. The big story there, though, is that the Bharatiya Janata Party, which in the last elections was standing at 37% vote share, could go up a massive 3% to 40.
You know, Rahul, there are two big stories. One is the BJP story, the possibility, as you said, that Prime Minister Modi will emulate what Nehru did, win 3 consecutive elections. The other story is the Congress party, losing 3 consecutive elections and its vote share not changing. I keep repeating, there's one figure that stands out for me, Rahul. The BJP got around 7.5 crore votes in 2009. It went up by a whopping 200% to over nearly 22 crores by 2019 in a decade. The Congress vote has remained relatively static at 11 crores. So while we are looking at the BJP and the big picture of Mr. Modi winning his hat-trick, we've got to also look at the Congress party. And I think somewhere there are two stories. But it's not static.
If the pie is growing up and your portion say you're actually declining very badly. So you're not static. See, you're declining.
Your vote share is remaining static.
For a moment, and before we kickstart our discussion, let's take you through how this stacks up in terms of seats. We've looked at the vote share numbers. Let's take a look at how many seats each of these parties is projected to bag. The BJP, remember, had a 303 rifle that they were firing last time. This time it's 304. So it's not Mission 370. That's his rallying war cry. They're not there yet. 304 is where they stand. 71 is where the Congress stands, which is up 19 from the last time. Remember, there are gains in states like Telangana, which are helping the Congress do better than it did last time. Others at this moment are at 168, down 20. So that's where it stands. Prime Minister Modi very comfortably placed to be PM once more, which is why Raj Chingappa and his team are saying it's get set for a hat-trick.
Raj, you want to give us what your headline is? What is it hat-trick? Is it the Modi momentum? What is it?
It is set for a hat-trick.
So is it about Modi? Is it about the BJP? How do you see it? I see your cover has Mr. Modi imperiously walking down.
So we're calling it heading for a hat-trick. But let's, just for a moment look at the figures that are there.
Yes.
I mean, it's commendable that Mr. Modi in his 10th year is able to deliver the kind of numbers to the BJP and the NDA. And look at the term that he does it. In the second term, I mean, every world leader was under pressure, put on the mat. There was a once-in-a-century pandemic that was there. You had a complete collapse of the economy. You had the Chinese intrusion coming in. You had 2 wars, the Gaza and Ukraine war that pushed up inflation. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And yet, when we see at the end of 10 years, Mr. Modi is not only shining, but is up there in the league of greatness, possibly statesmanship that is happening. So I think we have to give him credit for what is it. Now, whether he's going to beat the record of Nehru, that has to be seen, but the polls indicate that. Whether he will beat the record of Rajiv Gandhi in 1984, that is to be seen, because 400 at the moment from what we took in these last 3 years, 3 or 4 bellwether states, the NDA seems to be holding, but not really catching up to the 370 that Mr. Modi wanted. I think what we will see in the next 2 months, there will be, I believe, because the way it is trending, and I studied what we did in 2014, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was aspiring and the Congress party was aspiring for a 3rd term. If you looked at our Mood of the Nation poll at that time, in January 2014, the Congress was down to 100, and the UPA was down to 122 seats. And the BJP, the trend line was that the NDA and the BJP was going to win it. Here, it's just the opposite. The ruling dispensation is doing it. So I would think that we are going to see a Modi wave because they can only get better from here. They seem to have equaled what they've done, and we're going to see this huge movement. There are caveats, which...
We will come to the caveats in a moment, but is that how you see it? The big takeaway is the BJP has consolidated, holding its own. If anything, Yashwant Deshmukh, it could go up, possibly in the next 2 months, depending on the nature of the campaign, the kind of momentum that you tend to get, that the winner gets a kind of bandwagon effect.
Well, bandwagon or not, I've explained the relative turnout thing, which I think will be a very decisive factor, because I believe within the same vote share and sphere, just the higher relative turnout will give BJP extra 2-3 point jump, just by virtue of being able organizationally and resourcefully taking the supporter from their home to the polling booth. Out of that, having said that, you all know that from the seat projection perspective, I am a very, very conservative pollster. For what Raj is indicating, what Amitabh is indicating, probably is, they are poking me that, Yashwant, this is the starting block. And I agree to that, because when I look into the gap of 20% vote share for the BJP, Rajdeep, it's like it is likely to end up a complete sweep in many of the states where marginally I have probability-wise given 2 or 3 seats to the others. So if you look into the 335, it can easily be 350 just by taking into the other sweeping stakes of the BJP.
So is there any caveat at all, Rahul Verma? Is there an inevitability of the outcome, as I said, where the question now remains whether the BJP is where Yashwant has pegged them at 303, NDA at 335, or does the BJP go up to 340, 350, NDA 370, 380? Are these the only two scenarios you see, or is there a possibility of a 2004 miracle that the opposition is holding on to?
In Indian politics, there is always possibility, but the other term I'll use is probability. The probability of this now turning in a reverse direction is very, very low. And see what is happening in some ways, just to sort of like add to what Rahul was saying. PM Nehru in his successive elections, 52, 57, 62, Congress vote share did not improve. What is happening with BJP, 31, 37, and now projected is 40, 3 months ahead of election. And given if it's a conservative estimate, BJP being an organizational party can actually pick up more votes. With that kind of vote difference, the seat translation is going to be heavy. And second point, Congress is holding on to its 18% vote share and 70 seats because of its perhaps performance in Telangana and states like that. And we don't know what would conspire in some of these states. If BJP ties up with, say, BRS, Telangana seat tally might change.
What happens to the Congress party, Rashid Kidwai? 3 consecutive defeats, 15 years out of power, and while they may get 70 seats as per our poll, that could even come down to 40, 50 if the BJP goes up by 2030. Where does that leave the Congress party? Can it hold together with a third debacle?
Yeah, I think, Rajdeep, it may sound a bit odd and bizarre, but the Congress would be very happy to know Yashwant Deshmukh's, finding and mood of the nation that Congress is getting 71 Lok Sabha seats. It will give them a formal position of leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. Remember, Congress is very easily satisfied party, and that's the one reason why it is going down. On the other side, when Bharat Jodo Yatra, and this is a very big lesson for Rahul Gandhi, when Bharat Jodo Yatra was started in first phase, it was thought that with that yatra, Congress would be able to increase, its vote percentage by 3 to 4%. They were actually hoping for 25%. So it's a very bad news that Congress is not getting vote percentage, no increase in vote percentage. I think individually in states, there will be breakaway Congress factions because nobody wants to be in opposition forever.